Hello everyone, welcome to the class. David A. Cox here with PCClassesOnline.com. We are live right now, and today we're going to be talking about Spotify, and also Pandora, two excellent music programs, both of them free. They do have paid versions, but we're going to be going over both of them today. These services are available to everyone, Mac, PC, you name it. In the case of Pandora, you can run it also on your iPhone or iPad or any of those other devices. In the case of Spotify, you can, however, they do require that you have a paid version, paid account if you want to be able to do that. So why don't we start with the newest one, which is Spotify. Spotify is a service that came out a little over a year ago, I believe it was. And basically the way it works, now there is one requirement to Spotify. You do have to have a Facebook account. Now, it doesn't have to be a Facebook account that you use. It can be a fake account. It could be a dummy one that you just throw together, but you do have to have a Facebook account, okay? So the way you get Spotify, we'll just open our little web browser here. Go to Spotify.com, and here it is. Now, basically, to kind of give you an idea of what is Spotify, it's basically like iTunes with an unlimited gift card. You can listen to whatever you want, for the most part, whenever you want on your computer. And as I made a hint of earlier, if you want to play it mobily, so for example on an iPhone, you would need to have a paid account to be able to do that. I love their website. I think they've done such a slick job. So you just simply click here to get a free account. They'll have you create a username, password, and they'll ask you for your Facebook information. So this is what Spotify actually looks like. Let's actually blow it up into full screen mode right now. So when you first come in here, a lot of you will look at this and say, wow, this does look pretty similar to iTunes, or at least what iTunes used to look like. And the first thing you'd typically do is you'd want to find your favorite artists and start to create some playlists. So a lot of these features are very, very similar to iTunes. So to create a new playlist, if you look over here on the left-hand side of my screen, there's a little button over here that says New Playlist, says plus. And so let's say we want to create a new playlist for a dinner party. So what I can do is click on New Playlist, and I can just type in dinner party. Okay? Now there's currently no one in that playlist. As you can see here, if I click on it, there's no one here. But what you can do is you can start to add people. So to do that, we're going to go straight up here to the very top left of the screen where there's a search bar. And let's say we want some Frank Sinatra. And as I start to type in his name, you can see here it's already popping up here. There's it'll have tracks that have the name Frank Sinatra in it, or I can just go here under Artist, which is probably the easiest way. And here is basically everything Frank Sinatra has ever put out. And all of it is immediately available to you. No additional charge. It's a really, really cool service. So I find a few tracks here that maybe I like. Okay, let's go here to the top. And what I can do is I can start to drag them and drop them into that playlist that I just created. So let's say I want Come Rain or Come Sunshine. I can click on that and drag it into where it says Dinner Party. You can see it kind of lights up there. Alright, if I want to go back to where I was, if it actually takes you into the playlist, see this arrow pointing to the left at the top? Just click there. It'll take you right back to where you just were. So we'll add in a couple others. Okay. And you can, for those of you who are familiar with how to select multiple items, you can do that here. So if I want to select everything from Say It to Speak Low, I could click on the first, hold the Shift key, and click on the last. And now when I go to drag these, I'm dragging 6 tracks. You can actually even see that it says 6 tracks. So now when I go into Dinner Party, there's all of my music. Okay? So now let's add someone else. Let's add some Michael Bublé. Here we go. So I can do the exact same thing. I can go through all of his albums right here, and you really start to see what I mean when I say it really is like you have an unlimited gift card. It's a really cool service. So let's take a couple of these here and drag them in. and now you've got them. And basically the way that this all works is it plays through the internet. So another great part of this is it's not taking up any space on your computer's hard drive. So you can really go nuts with this thing. For those of you who have AirPlay speakers, you can configure this to play wirelessly through your home stereo system. Okay, and basically all you have to do to play it is just double click. So if I want to play the Michael Bublé song Come Dance With Me, I just double click and you can hear that playing through my speakers. So that's how that works. There's a lot of other features that you have access to here in Spotify also. So one of the things you can do is if you look up here at the very top left, there's a couple of things that we have: discover, follow, no one really uses inbox, play queue, and devices. That's if you decide to use this with something like your phone. Like I said, at that point you are paying for it. Okay? So here under discover and follow, these two are very, very similar. Discover, what it will do is it'll start to kind of track what music you listen to, and it's going to make some recommendations for you. Now when you boot up Spotify after you've already downloaded and started to use it a little bit, this is the page it's going to go to by default. So it's going to look at some of the music that I've listened to, and it's saying, hey, you know, you liked this, you liked the song by David Cook, you might like this song. Okay? And what you can do is you'll notice here that there's a little button that says follow artist. So basically when that artist has a new album come out, you'll be notified. For example, I just got notified that the new Goo Goo Dolls album just came out. Love it. Some of the other things you can do here is especially if you're learning about people who you've never heard before. So let's take this woman here, Sarah Hayes. I've never heard of her. And it is recommending her to me because it can see that I listened to something by Casey Abrams, who's a similar type of artist. So the other thing you can do is when you see their photo like this, you see the little play button that appears? If you click and hold, it'll kind of play little preview clips of their music. So you can pretty quickly figure out if this is someone you're going to like. You don't have to go through the whole song. It'll go right to the good stuff. So if I click and hold, so you can see, you can really kind of figure out who you like, and it's a great way to discover new artists. Now also we have here under follow, you'll see here the portion where it starts to link up with Facebook. So what it's doing is it's looking at all of my friends online on Facebook who use Spotify, and I can actually see what they're listening to for those that decide to publish what they listen to, and I'll show you that in a little bit. So for example, I can go here into, I'm not really good friends with him, I could say. We've chatted a couple times briefly on Facebook, but this right here is Steve Wozniak, co-founder of Apple. Oh, he's not sharing any. Never mind. I can go here into a local musician, Zoe Lewis, and I can see, of course she's not showing any either. But I can go into, let me find one of my friends who is here. Okay, so this is my friend Steve. I can see what he's listening to. It's just gathering his playlist right now. And it's kind of cool because we all have friends who we have similar tastes with. And so if one of those things where you can see, you know, if a friend of mine and I like the same kind of music typically, I can go into his or her playlist, see what they're listening to, and follow the same thing. I don't know why it's taking so long right now. Let's see, who else here? Ben Berry. It may be that it's slowing down a little bit based on the fact that we're doing this class, which also uses the internet. I'm going to take us out of full screen for just a moment here, just so that I can see if any of you have questions that you've come up with in the last minute or two. Let's expand this out. If you have questions, for those of you who are live, you can of course type them. Can you burn these songs to disk? Unfortunately not. They're smart with that. It's pretty hard to hack anything off of Spotify. Now, one of the things that a lot of you might consider doing is if you go with a service like this, you might want to get one of the systems that allows your computer to wirelessly talk to your pre-existing stereo. And by doing that, you don't have to have the paid version of Spotify to be able to do all these things. Because if you're streaming from your computer to the speakers in your house, technically it's not mobile, so you can get away with it for free. Now, every few songs or so, I've always found it to be right around 5 or 6. They do play like a 30-second ad, but you know what? It's a pretty small price to pay for free music, which is really, really cool. Okay, so it loaded a lot of Ben's playlists here, so I can see things he's liked from the radio. And what's cool is that then, let's say that he has these Broadway hits that I really dig, okay? I can hit follow. This is actually someone, I think, this is not his, this is someone he's following. I can click follow here and I will get the playlist on my computer instantly, all the songs that are included with it. Some of the other things you can do here is if you look here under apps, they do have a certain degree of apps that you can load into Spotify. Right here at the top is the app finder. It's kind of their version of an app store. The only one I've ever really used for the most part are 1, 2, 3 top lists and Billboard top charts. So it's just kind of a nice way to see what's popular. So I go down here, I can see what are the popular tracks and what are the popular albums. Now, one important thing to note, you cannot get every single song on Spotify. I've found that I can get probably 90% for what I listen to. If you have kind of obscure taste, it can be difficult to find people. But for the most part, if you like things that are relatively popular, you saw Frank Sinatra pulled up everything, you can still find quite a bit. I believe, I'm not sure if it's still the case, but a lot of you I'm sure are familiar with Adele, and she was at odds with them. Oh, looks like they resolved whatever it was because her album is there. So for a while she didn't have her stuff on here, but now apparently she does. So that's basically a little bit of Spotify. Some of the other things you'll see here. On the right hand side we have our activity window. So what this is doing is it's showing songs that my friends have listened to or recently added to their playlists. Okay, and I can just hit play and instantly hear the song. Okay, again, really cool ways to discover new music. Let's briefly go over some of the stuff here at the bottom. Okay, if you look here at the very bottom right, we have 2 symbols here. One is shuffle, that's the one that looks like 2 arrows intersecting, okay, and one which is repeat, which is the one that looks like an arrow going in a circle. Now if you click on repeat once, it will, let's say I'm in my dinner party, when it gets to the end of this playlist, it'll go back to the beginning. The other option is you can click it twice. Oops, I'm sorry, never mind, that's an iTunes thing. I take that back. And then over here on the left hand side we have of course our volume controls to turn the volume up and down, our play button, universal symbol for play, so the triangle, arrows pointing to the right is next track, and previous track pointing to the left. Now the other part I want to show you has to do with the privacy settings that are part of Pandora. This is the one thing that a lot of people seem to have been turned off by, and I completely understand it. So what I want to do is show you how to really take control of the privacy settings. Because when you first get Spotify, one of the things they do is they make every song you play, basically, it publishes it to Facebook. And it can be A, annoying, and B, not all of us want to share everything we do with Facebook. I suspect a few of you know what I mean. So here's how you modify the privacy settings. Now PC users, this is very, very similar, but for Mac users you're going to go to Spotify and go to Preferences. For PC users I believe it says Options, but it's the same kind of thing. And here you can see here, this is where you start to get into everything here. So right here it says Playlist, automatically make new playlist public. I decided to uncheck that. I did decide to share my top tracks playlist, but if you don't want it, you can certainly uncheck that. Okay. And then you can scroll down here to the very bottom. Here's another one to watch out for. Spotify is designed so that when you open your computer, when you boot it up, it automatically launches. Okay, so if you don't want that, just hit don't open automatically. Okay? I'm going to put that on mine. Finally, there's one other feature that has to do with the whole publishing to Facebook thing. So here we go, all right? I'm going to close Spotify out, and I'm going to actually go into my Facebook page, so bear with me. And you're going to click on the little gear here at the top right and go into account settings. I'm sorry, you should go into privacy. My bad. So, privacy, security. God, why do they make it so confusing? I'm sorry, apps. Okay, let's go back. Sorry. That's the fun of being live, right? You're going to go to the gear, okay? You're going to go into your profile and you're going to go to apps. From here, you will find, let me show it. Where is it? Here. Somewhere here in your list. Here it is, Spotify. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to click Edit. And see here it says Visibility of App Posts. Well, by default, that's going to be set to public. You want to change it to Only Me. Okay, so you'll see what you listen to, but no one else will. And how many people actually are on their own profile? You're usually on the newsfeed. So you can do that. It's immediately saved, and you're good to go. Any questions on Spotify? To check out a new artist, do you hold it down? Do you hold it down? Oh, no. When okay, let me go back. Pat had a question about to check out a new artist, do you hold it down to, I think she means to listen to the entire album. No. When you're in the Discover page here, it's just going to give you like a little 30-second preview. As soon as you let go, it's going to stop. But if I want to, let's use Haley here as an example. If I wanted to actually hear all of her music, I would click not in the middle, but anywhere else, and it would launch her page. And if I double click on her first track here, it's going to go through the whole playlist. Okay, it's going to go through the whole album. You do need a Facebook account just to listen to the songs. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a legit account. It can even be your friend's account. You can tag team and use, 2 accounts on one Facebook page. But yeah, to use Spotify, you have to use Facebook. Okay? Some of the other questions here. Can I import my songs from iTunes into Spotify? Was asked by Julie. The answer is yes. I'm not sure if you're going to want to, though. Personally, I don't. Because when I'm listening to songs that I've purchased on iTunes, I listen to them on iTunes. Now, you can import them. And the way you do that, it's actually right back where we were under Preferences. And if you look down here, it says Local Files, Show Tracks from These Sources. As many of you have gotten to know, this is not my real account. This is my dummy account. So on my actual one, I have all of these things unchecked. But if you want your iTunes music to talk to Spotify, that's fine too. In Preferences, can you uncheck all for more privacy? Yeah, basically you can just go in here and everything's very straightforward. Share my activity, what I've listened to with my all other followers on Spotify. You don't want to do that? Just uncheck everything. I'm going to stop posting on Facebook. That's fine. So you can really go through here and just turn all those settings off. It really is a great service, and I understand that some of our users don't like Facebook, and you know what? That's fine. You're absolutely entitled to your opinion. There's no problem with creating a fake account. No one said that you have to use Facebook. Unfortunately, it is a requirement to use this service. So, if there's no more, let's move on to the other topic that we're going to be talking about today, which is Pandora. Pandora.com. It was actually started by a guy in his, I believe he was in his 60s when he started it. Let me pause this. He was in his 60s when he started it, and he was a composer. And what he would do is sit down with his clients and say, what else do you like that you'd like me to create for you? Something similar. And that's kind of what started the whole idea of Pandora. Is you tell Pandora what you like, and it will create a radio station for you based on your taste. So, it is free to use Pandora. and you can use it on your iPhone, on your iPad, or Droid. They do paid versions of Pandora. It's actually very inexpensive. It's about, I think it's, if I remember correctly, I think it's $35 a year. And for that price, there's no ads, and you can skip as many tracks as you want. So if a song comes up that you're not a fan of, on a free account, you can only hit next track so many times before it won't let you until your next session. So when you come into Pandora and you create your account, you're going to see this right here, and you can create a station. Now this station can be based on a person, it can be based on a song, or it can be based on a genre. So you can see here it's actually making a few suggestions for me. So you can see some of the ones that I've created here. I'm a big fan of Maroon 5, so I created a Maroon 5 radio station. My favorite song. So all you do is hit play, and it will play. It's a really nifty service. The other thing that they have, which you can get if you have a paid account, is something called Pandora One, which is basically a little app so that you don't have to have the website open in the background. You just run the app and it'll keep your music playing without you having to constantly keep a website just kind of hidden. But it's very easy to use. Now, as you're listening to your radio station, you're going to see these two symbols up here, and you'll see this regardless of whether you're on the web or in an app, that are a thumbs up and a thumbs down. And basically what this is it's Pandora's training tool to figure out your taste. So let's say you go really broad. Let's say you go jazz. Okay, you don't give it a specific artist, you just say jazz. Inevitably, there'll probably be some jazz musicians that you don't like. So what you do is you hit the thumbs down button, and that's it. It won't play it again. It'll remember. And the more you use Pandora, the more you use the thumbs up and the thumbs down rating system, the better the app is going to learn you, and it's going to be able to predict your taste. So it's a very intelligent radio station, basically. Let's see what questions we have coming in right now about Pandora. Let's see. Other than the Facebook account, what is the difference between Spotify and Pandora as far as listening to music on the computer? Here's really the big difference. With Spotify, you have the ability to control what you listen to. Whereas with Pandora is more like radio. You don't have control over it. You have you have control over the genre, but if I want to listen to a very specific song that minute, I can't. That's not an option. Pat also had a question. Can you get an artist list on Pandora like you did on Spotify? The answer is sort of. So as you're listening to musicians, like for example, we'll just use the one here going in the background. Let me see. I'm going to turn the music off, the volume off. Okay. So that's muted. As that's playing in the background on the website, I can scroll down and look right here. It says similar artists, Maroon 5 and Christina Aguilera, One Republic, Jason Mraz, and Neon Trees. Okay, so you can discover it that way. As far as discovering new music, in my own personal opinion, I love Spotify. I think Spotify is one of the best new apps to come out in probably the last 5 years. I mean, they just give you so many options. It's such a great service. It really is easy to use, especially once you start using it. And I also love that they're very, very open to new artists. So not just the big Lady Gagas, but also the independent artists who want to get their music out there. So you can really check out both big and smaller artists too. Okay. What else do we have here? Is there any ability to save songs on Pandora? Unfortunately not. It is a free service. If they did that, they'd have a couple million lawsuits on their hands. But that's basically Pandora right there. Let me see if there's anything else here I can. Now, all of these apps have the ability to share. So you can, if you really like this album, you can share it with your friends on Facebook. I know a lot of you probably won't do that. You can also buy the song, the track, just by clicking here. And you can buy it from either iTunes, Amazon, or buy the CD on Amazon versus the MP3. So when you have Josh Groban, you only get his songs, but you can't pick what one. On Pandora, yes. And in Pandora, if I put in, let's just put him in here as an example. Josh Groban. Okay. So just by typing in his name, I now have a music station devoted to Josh Groban. Now let me hit next track. And what you'll notice is it's not just him. It's going to be other people who are like him. Now, of course, now it's doing an ad. So we'll just wait for that to end. But it'll have other people like Michael Bublé as an example. Probably Michael Feinstein. Others similar, same category. Adele. You can see here this ad is 30 seconds long, so I'm just waiting for it. There we go. So now it's playing Jason Mraz. Okay, so a lot more control with Spotify, a lot more randomness with Pandora. But some people like that, and that's fine. Any other questions I can answer for you guys? We have a fun crowd today. If you pick some artist and then play, does it go till you stop it with ads and all? I don't know what the exact algorithm is with Pandora, but it will shut off if you don't go back to it. I don't know if it's about an hour or something like that. Might be half an hour. Eventually, your computer will get a pop-up, and it will say, "Are you still listening?" And at that point, it'll pause the music because they do pay licensing to these artists. So if you really like having music go all the time, at that point, it's going to be better to run the app because I don't believe that will shut off. Could be wrong about that one. Might want to double check. Oh, by the way, one little programming note for those of you who are here live. Next week we are supposed to do a class on painting on your iPad. Unfortunately, we're going to have to delay that one. I just sold my iPad. I'm downgrading to the iPad mini, which I actually like a lot better. And I bought it online, and it's being shipped, and it will not. I ran the tracking. It will not get here in time for the class. So that will be in next month's classes. So my apologies for that one. Okay, I think we've answered everyone's questions right now. So I hope you've all enjoyed this. Please tell your friends about PC Classes Online. As many of you know, we recently became a free public service. So you can tell your friends to go to our website at pcclassesonline.com, and they can sign up and take as many live or pre-recorded classes as they want. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.